Hello everyone. This is Sabrina and you're watching another episode of Coffee with Sabrina. Today I have a very interesting guest with me. You know, all my guests are interesting, but we are about to meet Ruben, and Ruben's going to tell us a little bit about him, his business, his background. So I'm very excited. Ruben, thank you for being on the show today.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, definitely. I know it took us a long time to schedule this.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
So yes, I'm glad we finally both made time for this. So tell us a little bit about you and your background.
Yeah, so I'm Ruben Guzman. 27. February 14th will be my birthday, so I'll be turning 28. But I graduated in 2015. I knew by the time I graduated, I knew I didn't want to go back to sitting in a desk. Sitting behind a desk, taking notes, homework. I wasn't a big fan of it. And so I knew that I was going to want to do something where I was going to be able to go out and, work with my hands and get dirty. So one day, senior year, I remember I think for our last grade, they wanted a paper on what we were going to do after high school.
Wow.
So instantly started thinking of, okay, what am I going to do? So I have an uncle who does air conditioning, and I grew up a lot with him and my cousins, and so I spent a lot of time with them. And so seeing my uncle do air conditioning, I started to become a fan of it. So what I did was I ended up looking up, doing some research and finding that air conditioning was a very good trade to get into in Texas. And I had found a paper online, and so I decided to copy and paste certain portions of that paper, included my own stuff in there, turned it in, got 100, and then I passed. So
very brilliant.
Yeah, but what it did was it kind of got the gears going in my head of thinking, okay, so what am I going to do? While doing research, I found that you needed to go to school for it. There were certain certifications that you needed. And so I decided to enroll in a local college. Fast forward to day one, or I think before enrollment, I was needing to pay for certain classes, and so I had financial aid. 18-year-old Ruben had a short fuse and not that much patience. Right. And so after a couple of hours of being bounced around different departments, nobody could tell me where that money was at. I decided to walk out.
Wow.
Didn't know really if was the best choice, but luckily I had already had a interview lined up with a local HVAC company, and so
you didn't go work for your uncle?
No. So my uncle actually he still works till today. He works for DISD, and he had been still to this day. He does air conditioning on the side, and so that's where that word came in from. So. Yeah. I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to work for him, but I knew that air conditioning started to look, like a good option.
So walking away from your financial aid that you couldn't find and walking away from the thought of going to college, how did that affect you with your family in any way?
Yeah, a pretty big amount. So I've got a twin sister. And
nice.
Yes, ma'am. So my twin sister decided to go to, the whole college route. And big hero. She's a big role model in my life. And so there was a lot of comparisons growing up. And so I have, to this day, I received an enormous amount of support financially, different ways. But there was also a lot of doubt, and there was a lot of times where there wasn't a lot of support. And so when I decided to walk away, I think it maybe took me like a day or two to finally tell my parents what I had done.
Right.
But just I had to very quickly sneak into, hey, look, but I got a job interview at an air conditioning company. Yes. So it's still along the lines of what I want to do. But no, definitely telling them that I had left college was not an easy conversation to have.
Right. I know most cultures every culture that will be a difficult pill to swallow,
Of course.
Especially if you had financial aid.
Yeah, financial aid was there. There's definitely a lot of times where I think back and I wish, if I would have had a little bit more patience, I'm sure we could have sorted it out.
Yeah.
Maybe my path would have been easier.
Yes.
But decisions were made, and here we are.
So when you got that job, you worked for that HVAC company.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you stay with them for your whole time?
Yes, basically until we got laid off.
Okay.
So I worked for that company right out of high school. I actually our school had us go through a practice graduation before we walked the stage senior year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to talk with my principal and get permission from him to go to the interview.
Oh.
And so I had to ask him, look, I want to do air conditioning. This is the career I'm trying to pursue. I have an interview, but it's the same day that I have to come to school for the practice graduation.
Wow.
And so I remember him saying, well, you've got a twin sister, you're sitting behind her, just walk behind her and do what she does.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate, and I'm grateful for that, the fact that he gave me that opportunity.
Yeah.
And ultimately I did. I got the job, and I worked for them for about 6 years.
Wow.
Right up until I became a business owner.
So when you got laid off, was that when you thought of becoming a business owner, or was that something you had in the back of your head all the time?
Not until I started doing research on HVAC in Texas. When I saw that even being an employee was it was very profitable.
Mm-hmm.
I started looking into, okay, what would it be to actually own a business? And to be honest with you, it was just a quick thought, and then I put it on the back burner.
Right.
I knew that I obviously have to start, somewhere, and it's not going to be a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how that went.
Wow. So you getting laid off was really a blessing in disguise.
It really was. I had a supervisor at the time that had heard the rumors. Came up to me one day and said, you know what? This is what we're hearing. I think we might need to come together and think of a plan B. And so he really was the one that started pushing me towards becoming a business owner. He said, hey, if this company downsizes and we need a plan B, it might be a good idea if you start getting your licenses, your insurance in place. That way, when that time comes, we can hit the ground running.
Right.
And I believe it was like November. Kept pushing me, and one day I said, you know what, I think he might be right. He might be onto something here. And so I decided to buy the books at the time. And sure enough, I hit the books pretty good. In the state of Texas, you need to have at least 4 years for you to get your license. Wow. And so I started getting all the paperwork ready. I had sent it off, and sure enough, one day we walk in and our boss says, hey, Friday's everybody's last day. Wow. And so because of my supervisor, I was able to get my license. And I remember the day, our last day working at that company, my license was already in the mail. And so while
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was nice to know that while we're talking, we're each kind of looking at each other and asking, well, what are you going to do now? Where are you going to go work at?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I kind of knew, okay, well, I kind of know what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And you're kind of, you're like scared, because for every business owner, it is a scary step. I feel, especially from the background some of us came from, it's harder for us to take that step into business ownership, right?
Yes.
Because we were brought up the kind of way, seeing our parents and grandparents just work for someone their entire life. And opening your own business is a struggle. So I hear that in your voice saying, I kind of know what I was going to do, but I'm not real sure about this. So I get you. I feel that. So I know there are a lot of people out there that are thinking to open up a business, but they're scared.
Yeah.
They're not sure how to do that, or they're thinking, I don't think I can do that. But you took that leap of faith. So how long have you started your own business?
I started in 2021.
2021. So 3 years.
3 years now. Yes,
Going in
ma'am.
4. How has that been? Tell us a little bit about your company.
So SubCooling Air Services, we service, I'd say, about 30-mile radius of Roy City, residential and commercial heating and cooling systems. It's been a roller coaster of a ride. When I started the business, I actually, for the first 2 months, I went and worked for another company just because I needed income. It's very hard to start a business, especially the way I did it. I didn't have a backup. It wasn't until I saw that I'm going to have to put all of my attention, all of my resources towards building this company.
Correct.
And so it took a lot. And, year one was very difficult. You're trying to build essentially your client list from the ground up.
Yes.
And it's tough. It takes a lot of time away from family. And so you're having to pick and choose. And so, I'm happy that as of now, I've been able to see that year after year, SubCooling Air Services has not only grown, but become profitable. And so it's made me think that I picked the right career path, and I'm going down the right path here, the right journey.
So I met you a few months ago at the Goldman Sachs program, and I remember day one versus now, right? After being your table mate, being your classmate, spending a lot of time together, working on projects and back and forth, trying to figure things out. I know you're good at what you do. You're very detailed, but I think what I'm trying to ask is, what made you're 3 years into business or 4 years into business, what made you decide to go and further some education, whether it was for your business or for some other degree or something? What made you do that? Like what were you thinking when you chose that?
Just the fact that going through high school, they don't really teach you a lot of business.
Correct.
And so you can put a broken down air conditioner in front of me and I can fix it for you. I will get it up and running. But business was a whole different side that I didn't have a whole lot of information on. And I very quickly realized that if this business was going to be successful, I needed to have the right tools for it. And so with talking through a very good friend of mine who has also been through the program, we spoke about 10KSB, about how they were able to give him many tools and resources to help his business not only grow, but to give it some structure. Right. And so that is what I needed. I needed structure, and I needed a lot more knowledge on running a business if there was going to be a 10-year reunion with SubCooling Air Services.
Right, exactly.
And so that's really what motivated me into looking for more education, was the realization that if I want this to be successful, if I want this to be an option that my kids can use one day, I'm going to have to get some of that information.
That was a huge commitment for all of us, right? A huge commitment to the point where my team is like, Sabrina, please don't do anything like that this year. Don't do anything. But as business owners, I want to say this because when you're good at what you do, you keep doing it, right? And you're getting results, but you're getting the same results. But we always want to try to grow, whether it's in education or in our field or just self-development. And I always like to get that out there for our audience that's watching, that wants to be, they want to be a business owner, to know that, yes, I might have a skill and I'm great at it, but I always have to make sure I'm taking that step to better myself. So I'm really proud of you being 3 years in business to actually pick up something that big, because that was huge.
Thank you.
Yes. Is there anything else you would like to share about business, your struggles, your successes? Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Yeah, I think that there's an infinite amount of resources out there for any young, struggling business or entrepreneur, no matter the age or where you might be. There's no such thing as too much help. I really do think that when it comes to running a successful business, being able to ask for help is a big thing.
Right, yes.
Because, with SubCooling Air Services, like I said, it's a roller coaster ride, and I feel like a lot of what helped me get above water to survive was recognizing that I need help.
Yes.
Whether that meant picking up the phone and calling fellow business owners and saying, hey, look, I don't have enough employees. Do you think we can work something out and tackle this job together?
Yes.
You know, or even as a business starting out, there's not a lot of banks out there that are willing to give you a line,
Tell me about
a
it.
loan or even help you. And so, to have family that's willing to help financially, it's a blessing. But with all the downs, there's definitely, with all the lows, there's definitely highs. And I think the lows definitely make you respect the highs.
Yeah.
And just, just don't be afraid to ask for help. If you're going to survive, if you're going to be successful, you're going to need help from time to time. And being able to go out there and find that resource is a good thing.
Yeah. I love that you said that. That is so important, because that's the problem. We're afraid to ask. We're always afraid to ask for help. And there's a plethora of resources out there. So that's great. Tell us, so now that you are above water and things are going great for you, what is your next step?
We started off and our main focus was residential side of the air conditioning world. And so we are trying to venture to the commercial side. But we are trying to do that by bringing in remote monitoring solutions. And so a couple months back, with the help of Goldman Sachs and their wonderful team, we started on another journey to figure out how can we do that. How can SubCooling Air Services go to our commercial clients and say, let us take care of your air conditioning remotely. No need to worry about it. Let's figure out how your air conditioning is working. Let's get the information from it. Let's figure out how healthy it is, and let's start to monitor it.
Wow, I like that idea.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, and so it's been a difficult road here. We found out very quickly that it's kind of hard to work with other businesses, and so we are actually waiting until February. There is a big air conditioning convention that they do, and so I'm hoping to partner up with other entrepreneurs, other tech companies out there, and maybe seeing if we can come up with a way to create sensors, softwares, something where SubCooling Air Services can take care of all those aspects instead of subbing it out or using third-party companies.
Right. That's a fantastic idea. And while for business owners that's going to be different, you're just going to have to get that out there as much as you can, because that's not something a lot of business owners have done in the past. Also, you have to get these business owners that really own their space. So when you market, you be careful with that marketing to, like, I lease a space right now. I don't have the say over that for this, the space I'm in. So when you market that, I think you really have to be intentional about your marketing. But that is such a fantastic idea. I love it. I mean, if I owned a building, I would definitely be wanting that to make sure things go well.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We run into a lot of businesses where they can't really afford downtime. And so ultimately what we're trying to do is cut out downtime. We want to make sure that if we can see, your equipment is starting to fail, let us get to it quickly. Let us get it resolved before it becomes a massive inconvenience.
Right. So if you had an ask on the show today, what would you be asking the audience for?
Just support. Think about us the next time your heater, your air conditioner needs maintenance or it goes out. Think of the little guy here that is growing, that is trying to make you a part of something bigger than just fixing your air conditioner. I think our clients are wonderful. Getting to meet people every day. It is a part of the job that I didn't think of when I first started out. I get to meet all kinds of people, and you start to realize that we are a lot alike, more than we think sometimes. And so I think it's a wonderful thing.
Right. Yes. I'm loving that you said that, because really we're all alike. We're all alike.
We really are.
What steps are we willing to take to be in a different group, right? But really and truly, we're all alike.
Yeah,
we just have to take those steps. So I love that you said that. I love some of the things that you've shared on the show today. with with our audience that are listening. One of the purpose of the show, like I told you before, is so that we can help people out there that is thinking about opening a business or would like to open a business, but they're scared to take that step. Either they don't have the money, they don't have the resources, they don't know where to start, they don't think they're good enough, even though their skill might be fantastic, they're afraid. One of the things with every single business owner, there's always fear. Every step we're taking, there's fear. Is this going to work? Am I doing the right thing? So fear, I think, is one of our biggest things, and I like that you shared some of your experiences. So, do you have anything else you would like to share with the audience before we end?
I don't think I do.
Okay. Your last big piece that you shared was great. If the audience wanted to reach you, how would they reach you?
So we do have a Facebook page, SubCooling Air Services. You can find us on Google. You can just look up SubCooling Air Services. You could always give us a call at 469-733-2912. We're happy to answer any questions. You can book with us from maintenance, repairs, any kind of installs. We work on all brands. Anything related to heating and air conditioning, we can take care of it for you. I think that's it.
Okay. I do have a question, and I should have asked this earlier. Do you have a territory? Because I know you said Roy City, a certain amount of areas you called out. But do you have a territory as far as you would go or not?
So about 30 mile radius around Roy City.
Okay.
And we really do have a lot of, I guess you could call it wiggle room.
Mm-hmm.
We very rarely shut down a new customer.
Okay.
And so, as long as we're not driving all the way to Oklahoma,
right.
We generally take care of you. We can go as far as Fort Worth or up to Sherman,
mm-hmm.
Bonham, Texas. So we take care of an enormous amount of Texas.
Right. Being on the show, you're reaching a lot of business owners. You're reaching a lot of individuals. And I know driving out of your radius, you would want that to count for you. So I want to make sure that we brought that up so that if there's a business owner out there or maybe an investor or landlord, someone that you would have consistent business with, that they'll feel free to reach out to you. With you being on the show means, it gives you credibility because I'm saying, yes, use Ruben. Yes, I know Ruben. I know the type of work that he does and his employees do, so yes, use him. So people they're going to call, and I just want to make sure that if they call outside of your radius, are you going to work with them or not? And that'll be something you will do with them. But I didn't want to stop anyone from calling you.
Yeah, of course. And if for some reason they happen to be too far, we definitely have a list of contractors in many areas that are going to be closer. And that we could easily pair them with and say, look, we might be a little too far, or we don't have the time to travel to your city, but here's a company that we trust, that we've worked with, that we think can definitely take care of it.
Oh wow, I love that. So you do have partnerships where you can refer out some of the business.
Yes, ma'am. And just something else before we end, to anybody out there that's trying to find another career path, whether that means going to school or not, air conditioning is a wonderful trade. You get to learn a lot. Not only is it profitable, but you get to work with your hands and you learn multiple skills. And so we are currently seeing less and less people going towards that career path. Mm-hmm. And so we are having, as contractors, a lot of the times it's a lot easier to call another business and say, look, here is a project that we have going on. It would be a lot easier if me and you got together, we use both of our resources, tackle it. It's become easier to do that than to try to hire somebody because it's become difficult to do that.
Right. I like that. Share the wealth.
Of course.
Share the wealth.
Yes.
Yeah. That is fantastic. Well, I love that. Anything else before we end? I know we could talk forever.
We could definitely
go on talking, right? But is there any points, anything else before we end that you would like to share?
I would like to thank Goldman Sachs and the 10KSB program. Without them, I wouldn't have met Sabrina. And they, for a business that is struggling, that is trying to grow beyond where they're at currently, look out for Goldman Sachs, look for their program. It is truly life-changing. It'll give you tools, resources, many things to help you along your growth.
Definitely. I love that. And if you do, don't forget to say Ruben referred you, right? Because I think a lot of that is by referral. You have to have a referral.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Ruben, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate you taking the time to come out here and do this.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I appreciate you having me out here.
Well, thank you. Guys, we just wrapped up another episode of Coffee with Sabrina. And as you know, we're here in the beautiful studio, Brasilia Studios. It's located in Mesquite. Please come out and check the studio out. You can do a podcast, small business owners looking to do their ads. So please check us out. Until next time, bye-bye.